Helping Hand podcast. My name's Pauline Shannon. I'm a mother of three and a reflex integration therapist. Each week I will be meeting someone who helps children and families. I will be asking them what they do and how they do it. We will learn how different therapies can help, how to choose which is right for you, and how to find them when you need them. Hi, today I'm talking to Pippa Elwood. Pippa works with adults and children as an accredited NLP practitioner and Connected Kids mindfulness tutor. She's based in Fife, but available for video call sessions anywhere you are. Hi, Pippa, and thank you for joining me today.
Hi, Pauline, no problem. It's a pleasure to be on the podcast.
I love the name of your company. Is it Geis?
It is, that's right, yes. The kind of Scottish spelling. You know, the expression that perhaps your parents or your granny maybe would have said, oh, Geis peace, like just be quiet. So I thought I'd turn that into kind of giving people some peace, which is, I guess, what I'm all about with my business.
Brilliant. So tell me about your business. What do you offer? How do you support children and families?
So I offer children mindfulness meditation classes and one-to-ones over video call. I'm also starting face-to-face classes now. Lockdown is over, but obviously that's my area in Fife. And I also, for adults, I'm a life coach using NLP tools and techniques, as you kind of mentioned in your intro.
That's quite a lot to offer. Do you offer them in combination, or are they different things for different people?
It really depends on what the person who comes to me is looking for help with. So it can be a combination of meditation and some NLP techniques, or it might just be learning some more about mindfulness. It's very much tailored to the person.
So today you were going to focus on mindfulness. So can you describe to me what's mindfulness? How does it work?
Okay, so mindfulness is really all about having an awareness of what's going on in the present moment in a non-judgmental manner. So it can encompass areas like gratitude practice, loving kindness, just all about that real connection to what's happening in the right here and the right now, as opposed to worrying about yesterday or thinking about things in the future, just very much each moment as it comes.
What got you into mindfulness?
I've worked for 25 years in the corporate world, and probably about 3 or 4 years ago, I was just feeling very kind of disconnected with myself. I wasn't really sure who I was anymore. I didn't feel very happy. I felt quite stressed. There'd been some family illnesses going on, and I just in general felt quite overwhelmed. And then someone said to me, Pippa, when was the last time that you did something for the first time? And it really kicked off a load of ideas for myself, where every year, and I still do this now, but in this first year, I made sure that I tried something new that was kind of really different and a little bit challenging for me once a month throughout the year. And I think the very second month of trying this, I booked into a weekend meditation course at Sammy Ling Monastery down in the Borders. And really, I just came away from there thinking, oh, wow, things have just completely changed for me. I was really just hooked on meditation and how calm and peaceful and grateful I felt, as opposed to just being wound up and frenetic, busy head all the time. It was just a real eye-opening experience for me. I then came back and enrolled in a mindfulness-based living course and a mindfulness-based cognitive therapy course. And I managed to be very lucky and hooked up with a charity and became a mentor on the mindfulness-based cognitive therapy course. And then I discovered Connected Kids, which led me to my formal training for mindfulness with kids, which is kind of why I'm here to speak to you today. So it's just been quite a life-changing experience from one weekend to then, over the course of all of these training things that I did, I was also offered redundancy. So it all just kind of came together and the stars aligned, and now allows me to teach kids meditation. So it's just fantastic.
What does mindfulness for kids look like? I'd like to know, how do people, when they get in touch with you, what's the process? Is there an assessment process? How do you decide what happens? Right through to what does an individual session look like, and what's the follow-up like?
Okay, so generally for the children, a parent or carer will contact me. I'll then make sure that we have a proper chat over the telephone so that they can get a feel for me and if their child would get on with me, because I think that's very important, having that sense of rapport. I would then tailor sessions depending on what the parent was coming to me with. So mindfulness can very much help with helping children feel calmer and managing big emotions. If they're feeling worried or have levels of anxiety, it can help. Also, mindfulness can help with self-esteem and self-awareness. So it would very much depend on the area that the parent would like me to focus on, and I would then tailor sessions for that. You asked about what would mindfulness look like for children. So it's not all about sitting down cross-legged and doing formal seated meditation. There will be elements of that, but it's much more involving creativity, things like use of mandalas or labyrinths, movement, connecting mind and body. So it's a very different experience than you would come to as an adult for an adult's class or an adult one-to-one.
How often would you see somebody?
I'd normally see them once a week for between 5 or 6 weeks, so that we would build upon what we'd learned in each session. I would be asking them to practice and show their family the things that they've learned, so they can spread that mindfulness awareness in their family as well, to help manage these big emotions. And I guess as well, as a parent, if you know that your child's just learned something that would help them manage a big emotion or to help them with a bit more self-control, then it can become a bit of a partnership with the parent and child. Oh, remember that you were just showing me the other day what you learned. Maybe this is something that a time that you could now put these new skills to the test, that sort of thing.
So would the parents be in the sessions with the children?
They can be in the sessions, but I find that it works better to be working with the child themselves, because sometimes a parent will come and say, oh, my child's really worried about such and such. But if you say to the child, what would you like some help with? They might also say, actually, I'm not very good at sleeping, or I'm finding it quite hard because I'm worried about focusing at school and I'm easily distracted. So then we can build a full picture around the things that the parent and the child would like to get from the session.
What age of children do you work with, Pippa?
From about age 8 upwards to teens.
Okay, you've kind of covered the next question, but what symptoms or concerns should lead me to look for mindfulness as a therapy?
So I would say particularly it's a lot about the emotional regulation, allowing a child to practice mindfulness, to make better choices that are more helpful to themselves, and being in that present moment and dealing with things kind of one thing at a time rather than having this just massive worries. Also, perhaps if a child is maybe not so positive, practices of gratitude can increase positivity and help them feel more contented, and increasing their level of acceptance really of whatever is going on for them in their life, that's just, it is what it is. But then it's looking for more informed choices that you can do if you're practicing your pause and just making better decisions. It's also particularly good with self-esteem, looking at areas where the child can think, well, actually, I'm really good at X, Y, and Z, or at school, I get praised for these things. And it builds up a much more full picture, because we've all got a natural negativity bias to think, we're just a bit rubbish in general. But when we can then work on all the positives as well, it brings everything just a little bit more into balance. The children are just more content, I would say.
You mentioned before beginning to do face-to-face again after lockdown, but are you going to continue your online sessions beyond lockdown?
Yes, I will. I'll be continuing my one-to-ones over video call for kind of forever now. I've found that they've worked particularly well, and obviously it lets me reach children that are not necessarily right in my local neighbourhood. So there'll definitely be the continuation of those.
It's great to hear how many therapists will be able to support children further afield as a result of the technical things we've had to take on during the situation.
Absolutely. I think that's been one of the positives out of lockdown, to be honest, because I'd always worked with adults over video call, but I hadn't really ever thought about doing that with children. And I think because also they've been relying on technology for a lot of their schooling and things like that, it's kind of a natural progression. So it doesn't feel like it's something that doesn't allow you to form good relationships or anything like that, because that's how we've been living, I guess, for the last wee while.
Absolutely. So if people want to get in touch with you, Pippa, what's the best way to do that?
So you can phone me or text me on 07921145750, or you could look me up on Facebook. You'll get a bit more information. So I'm on @Geis Fife. That's probably the best ways to connect me. I'm also on LinkedIn, just as my name, Pippa Elwood. I'm lucky with an unusual name, so I'm quite easy to find.
Thank you very much, Pippa. Thanks for coming to speak to me and share the information about mindfulness and the services you offer.
Thanks very much, Pauline. I really appreciate it.
You've been listening to the Helping Hand podcast, connecting families with help and support when they need it. If you want more information or to find a therapist near you, go to helpinghandonline.co.uk.